This is my main laptop that I daily drive for 5 years, the Lenovo Legion 5 2020. The cost for my config when it was brand new is 3,999 ringgit. Yeah, that price sucks. On the bright side, it has been performing brilliantly for daily use, video editing as well as gaming. Well, Vegas Pro is trash for this laptop due to bad optimizations. I had such a breeze using this machine when gaming thanks to the Zen 2 based AMD Ryzen 7 4800H paired with a low tier GTX 1650 with 4GB of GDDR6 VRAM, along with 16GB of DDR4 3200 RAM that I can upgrade later on. It wasn't enough, I need more RAM for my Legion!
まだ足りない。もっと。
Jokes aside, I have one thing to say about it. AMD is really stepping up the game in the CPU market and definitely got its reputation back after Bulldozer flopping. However, there's problems I'm facing. You see, I'm planning to get employed soon but I need a work laptop. Issue is, I had lack of reasonably spec work machine to jot down documents, watch YouTube videos on how to fix stuff so I can follow along and things like that. The laptops I have are either dated or just not suited for it. Yeah, I could have used my Asus A43 SD laptop now that it has Windows 10 IoT Enterprise LTSC, but I have sold it to coop some money for a different laptop. Yup, you read the title correctly. I bought a new work laptop and it's time to set it up. Hey guys, the Taco here. This is the laptop that made its cameo on my previous video, the Lenovo ThinkPad T490S. Coincidentally, this is my first ever ThinkPad and the reason I wanted one is because my brother-in-law, aka the one who buys a Legion 5 2020 for me, owns a ThinkPad X1 Carbon Gen 6. But yeah, this T490S is now my work/personal machine. On to the unboxing of this thing. Alright, here goes nothing. Yeah, I did peel the sticker off camera because it does contain my address, so let's go ahead and unbox this ThinkPad. This is not the original box, but what do you expect? It's a second-hand machine. Ooh, a free bag. How nice is that? And of course we do get a power plug, and of course it's a Mickey Mouse power plug as usual. And here we have a charger, which is a USB Type-C. Yeah, this charger is not original. And here it is. The ThinkPad inside the bubble wrap. Oh, check this out. ThinkPad. It does have a warranty sticker, which is annoying, but it's fine. I'm probably gonna take it apart anyways. When the thing arrived, the first thing I noticed is that it looked to be in great shape. Besides, it wasn't cleaned up before it got delivered to my doorstep and all the rubber feet were missing. But this isn't what ThinkPad is intended to use due to the condition. Then again, it's something to keep that in mind. Guess how much I bought this laptop? Yup, 873 ringgit and 49 cents. Which is approximately 195 American dollar dues. Not the greatest deal yet, but it's not the worst either. Then again, used ThinkPad market in Malaysia is really bad. At least the build is better than cheap consumer crap like these floating around Best Buy, Walmart, you name it. On a plus side, here's a bit quick info about this ThinkPad. This config of T490S is sporting a Whiskey Lake based Intel Core i5-8265U with 4 cores and 8 threads. Clock at 1.6 GHz base and 3.9 GHz max turbo. It's a normal variant, but this laptop can also be configured with the i5-8365U, which has similar performance to 8265U besides having vPro, which 8365U does have. Same story applies with the i7-8565U and the i7-8665U. Along that, it has 16GB of DDR4 2400 RAM, which unfortunately is soldered to the board. That's a major caveat that most ThinkPad fellas are not a huge fan of. If you're buying a laptop with a fully soldered RAM, try to go with 16GB of RAM or more since you can't upgrade the RAM later. Screen-wise, it has a 14-inch 1080p IPS display, which is plenty enough for my needs, and it's nice, crisp and clear. Because this is a 14-inch panel, 100% scaling is deemed too small and the recommended scaling is too big for me in my opinion. Hence, I set the scaling up to 125%, which is plenty enough for me. And we have a webcam with thin shutter switch on top, which is a nice feature to have since I don't have to tape the webcam. My Legion 5 also has this feature too. And did I forget to mention, this config I have does have a touchscreen. Whoa. I don't need a touchscreen, but it's quite a bonus. Keyboard is, I have to say, very nice to type on. While I don't mind typing on my Legion keyboard since it felt pretty similar, I personally think ThinkPad wins in terms of keyboard feel. And the red nibs thing is a track point, which is a signature ThinkPad thing to have. If you don't like using track point, there's also a touchpad below the track point buttons. Unfortunately, both track point and track point buttons don't work on my unit. This laptop does have an optional fingerprint scanner right next to the touchpad, and that supports Windows Hello, which works great. In terms of I/O, the ThinkPad T490S has plenty amount of I/O, including 2 USB-C ports, which one of them supports Thunderbolt 3 port, a proprietary docking port that can be used for Ethernet as well, a USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A, an HDMI port, and a headphone and mic combo jack on the left, as well as another USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A on the right, which is always on. There's also a Kensington lock slot, an exhaust fan, and an optional smart card reader. Plus, we do get a SIM card tray for a SIM card and micro SD card because this ThinkPad has optional LTE support. Forgot to mention that the power light on the lid is on the eye on the ThinkPad logo. Neat. It shipped with Windows 11 Pro when I first got it, and it comes bundled with Google Chrome and Microsoft Office. There's also VLC and WinRAR pre-installed on it. I failed to mention this prior to recording this video and including that in the script. That was my bad. Nothing else besides the Microsoft bloat. However, while I was about to reboot the machine, I noticed something. Uh-oh. Look what I found. You have KMS activated Office, I guess? Before I get to clean installing Windows, I have to clean the outside of the laptop, disable the internal battery, and check out the inside. After I had to peel the warranty sticker since I am the warranty. So I'm gonna grab this cloth here, the otter cloth from the Minori birthday merch. That was a disappointing birthday gift merch, but hey, at least otters are cute because I will have otter.
I will have otter.
Why is this not opening for some reason? What secure is it? What the heck? Oh. Oh. Never mind. We're good. Opening up the T490S is easy said than done, but the upgradability for it kinda stinks because as I mentioned earlier, the RAM is soldered to the board. Not only the RAM is soldered, the Wi-Fi card is also soldered to the board, so I can't upgrade to Wi-Fi 6, 6E or 7 card on this later down the line. I'm basically stuck with Intel Wireless AC 9560. Luckily, I'm not missing out much, so that's not a big deal. Plus, the W1 card can be swapped. Maybe a T490S with 5G? Who knows? But I'm worried about Lenovo's W1 whitelisting on this, so I don't want to. SSD on the other hand, it comes with the Toshiba 256GB M.2 NVMe SSD. If one day I upgrade my storage drive to 2TB on my Legion 5, I can reuse my 1TB Kioxia drive onto this. Having an upgradable SSD is already way better than cheapo laptops that still use eMMC storage. Heck, even MacBooks nowadays. That actually made me smile. There's however a small amount of dust built up on the CPU fan, so I brushed the dust off of it. While I'm at it, I have to say that the serviceability score is 6 out of 10, but the upgradability score is unfortunately 3 out of 10 due to the RAM and Wi-Fi card was soldered to the board. CPU is also soldered, but that's the norm these days that you already gotten used to. Time to put it back together and get this thing set up and ready to go. But I noticed the KMS activator zip file in the start menu, which Sela might have been used for Office activation. That questions myself that it might have been played with a KMS related malware that makes me want to KMS. Okay, I'm not gonna fool the Sino. I'm sorry. Because of that, I had to reinstall Windows 11. But ever since 24H2 came out, everyone has entered Windows Vista era all over again. You probably didn't know, but I had to mention this anyway. Since 24H2, I started to hate consumer versions of Windows 11 more and more for many reasons. The setup is a pain in the butt, not very friendly for non-tech savvy, and they shoved Copilot right onto your face. Even worse, they even dropped the support for Intel's 8th to 10th gen CPUs for OEMs like, what in the actual you bet? Because of Microsoft's planned obsolescence being an absolute nuisance, I instantly put on Vento USB and installed Windows 11 IoT Enterprise LTSC 24H2 on this laptop. This is an official, least bloated Windows SKU that doesn't ship with Copilot, and that's a good thing, but it's more meant for fixed purpose devices. No tweaking required to make consumer versions of Windows 11 less sucked. And the positive side? Longer support life cycle. No lie, I actually like the UI of Windows 11, but being very bloated with AI and everything is simply isn't worth my time to deal with. Literally, Microsoft could have fixed the bugs before they pushed 24H2 to everyone, and being desperate about Microsoft account really threw most consumers off. I'm sorry for the rant, and let's get back to the main topic for this video. I managed to reinstall Windows and then get most of the drivers installed. Then I update the BIOS, which is really scary to do. Self-healing BIOS? Okay. That is interesting. Oh, naruhodo. And then update the Thunderbolt 3 firmware. Why? And that is because of the well-known problem that leads to early signs of failure on Thunderbolt 3 controller after 6 to 12 months of use. My unit doesn't seem to have such issues, so it's all good. It's always best to do so. And then I install some programs, and that's job well done. I then took this ThinkPad along with my Legion in my bag for a trip, and I recorded some B-roll of it. Then I arrived at my sister's house. But then, I decided to fix the track point once and for all with the stuff that I have laying around. I inspected it once again and I noticed that the brown cable here is starting to go bad. Not only my unit had this problem, but there are other T490S users face this issue too. Eventually, I found the fix on r/ThinkPad subreddit and decided to try it myself. Oh god, that looks horrible.
Brother,
Hopefully nothing shorts out, so fingers crossed. It took me like 3 days of my sanity loss and my urge of giving up just for this fix. It turns on by itself again. And the backlit keyboard is still not working. What the hell? It took me a slow grind, cutting, failing, trying again, and eventually built my perseverance to get this working. And the backlit keyboard still doesn't work. The cable is not only for the track point and its buttons, but it's for the backlit keyboard as well. Eventually, in my last attempt of the fix before buying a new backlit keyboard, I managed to get it working once again. Yay, the track point's fixed! Boy, isn't that tiring. And finally, I got a good night's rest after a very gruesome attempt for the fix. I would like to give a shout out to the GOAT, Rando Kiwi III, for this fix. Without you, this fix is not gonna be possible. Yup, it's been a couple of days, or should I say a week later, since I bought this T490S. The failed track point has to do with the cable that is starting to fail over time. And yeah, and about the missing rubber feet, since the rubber feet are missing, I took the original feet with no rubber off camera because it's difficult. And then I went ahead and grabbed leftover rubber things in my room. It's a temporary solution, but I decided to get a new rubber feet for it on Shopee, which is non-original one, but hope that holds well once I apply it. I went ahead and take out the temporary feet, get the leftover adhesive off with my raccoon-like fingers for the bottom side, but I don't need to on the top side. Then I clean the slots up with alcohol wipe to get the adhesive off and to ensure the adhesive sticks on properly. Then I get to applying the feet, ensuring it slots in the correct place. There we go! The new fit for the T490S is in. It wasn't quite the original, but seems to work pretty good. Then I went ahead and replaced the CPU with something different. Yup, I bought a PTM7950. If you didn't know, the PTM7950 is a phase-changing thermal pad that is highly praised for being an excellent replacement of thermal paste. I'm curious about it, so I decided to buy it for not just this ThinkPad, but for my Legion laptop as well. Stay tuned in my extra channel for my Legion 5 shenanigans with a PTM7950. I'm not sure if this is the original PTM7950 or not, but we'll find that out later on. And now let's begin the repasting work. I put the back cover loosely and boot the machine up to disable the internal battery because this is the most important step to do that most people skip. If you skip this step, you can unplug the battery just in case. Don't leave the battery cable plugged in or you may short something out. After disabling the internal battery, I begin on taking the heatsink out by unscrewing the screws in the crisscross pattern. Okay, we're in. You can tell that the thermal paste is pretty dry. I'm not sure if this is repasted recently or it's still the original paste. So I went ahead and cleaned the dry thermal paste with an alcohol wipe. I already cleaned the heatsink a bit more off camera, but as soon as I dust off the fan a bit more, I found something. Yeah, I was cleaning the fan off camera and guess what I found on this side? It's the Gooch! Yeah, this is gonna go in the back of Gooch. With the CPU and heatsink all cleaned up from the dry thermal paste, it's time for the real deal. Applying a PTM7950. You can cut it the size of a CPU die or GPU die with a scissors or a sharp knife. Applying a PTM7950 is a pain in the butt, but I managed to get it on. I got it! Yes! After applying some pressure, I peel off the protective film, which is difficult. Put the heatsink back in and screw it into place in the cross pattern. And the repaste job is done. Or should I say, repad, cause the PTM7950 is a thermal pad. Okay, I gotta stop the joke, for real. Then I plug it in and make sure everything works. And it does. It's not January 1st, 2001 and it's April 16, 2025.
Thousands of tears later.
It's been about a week or so since I got this ThinkPad here, and I have to say that I'm very happy with the purchase, but I'm probably gonna have the remorse for buying this for work. The lid on this black version is made out of carbon fiber reinforced plastic, and the base is made out of magnesium, which does feel cold to the touch and definitely felt really solid. Meanwhile, the silver version of this laptop is made out of aluminum. I'm not missing out much on the build quality, so yeah, not a big deal. But there's something wrong with this. Why is there a Minori Neso sitting right here? So I'm gonna head pat her and put her aside. You'll be a background character for the rest of the video. The build is very solid despite it's such a thin and light machine. And it's no carbon on anything like that. It definitely feels very solid while it's not killing my back because of a thin profile. But unfortunately the T490S failed the one-handed test. So you have to hold the base with another finger. And there we go. Yeah, as said earlier in the video, we have a 14-inch touchscreen panel with IPS with the peak brightness at 300 nits, which isn't the brightest at outdoors, but it's not a big deal since I use it indoors anyway. Keyboard. Very nice to type on. Tripod on the other hand, not the most comfortable thing in the world, but it's there if you want to use it. Plus, there's a touchpad here, which is not the glass touchpad unfortunately, but people have done the trackpoint upgrade on the T490, the non-S variant. And of course, we get the ThinkPad logo on the bottom right side. And there's a touch-based fingerprint scanner. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and boot the machine up and see what this machine has to offer. And I'm gonna check out what programs I have put on. Hey, we're into the Windows 11. So I'm gonna use my index finger to scan. Locks me straight to the desktop. And yes, I did change the background because people I know on Discord server kept reacting with the sobbing emoji every time I show the Miyako wallpaper that I have on the ThinkPad earlier. Yeah, Blue Archive fans are just degens. I'm not sure what's up with that. They are built different. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and check out the system properties here. I'm gonna go with the classic one because I already have it enabled on the WinArrow tweaker. And as you see, again, i5-8265U, 1.6 GHz quad core with 8 threads, 16 GB of RAM, and of course touch support with 10 touch points. It's running Windows 11 IoT Enterprise LTSC, of course. And I do have widgets working, which is a pain in the ass to get it installed to make my taskbar look complete. Let me go and check WinVer here. 24H2 build 26100. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and check out the programs I have here. I have AS Programmer on here because I have CH341A to restore my Asus A43 SD laptop, but this is not the machine that I use to restore it, actually. But it's there if I want to use it in case there's a machine that has corrupted BIOS or something. If I'm able to find a bin file for it. And we have Brave browser, which is used for personal things. It's a Chromium based browser that blocks ads and anything like that, which is very neat little Chrome alternative. And of course we have CPU Z, which I already showed earlier. Howl monitor, which I use to monitor temps. Crystal disk info for checking disks, and of course this is AOE edition as you see here. And of course I have Crystal Disk Mark 8 because I want to benchmark the SSD, and the results are looking promising despite being a 70% health. And I tried the Kioxia SSD utility for the drive, but unfortunately it doesn't support that SSD. I have Excel because it's there, and of course I do have Flurp browser on it. And oh god, that was a very mouthful way to pronounce that name. Flurp is basically a fork Firefox. It's a good Firefox alternative if you want to ditch Firefox for a Firefox 4. Malwarebytes because why not? Notepad++. I don't know why I have that installed, but it's there. PowerPoint for presentation things. I don't present things that much, so it's there if I need to. ShareX for screenshot stuff. Spotify for music, Throttle Stop, which is used for CPU undervolting and things like that. And you all already know how Throttle Stop works, but I don't know how to use it, so I'm not sure about the comfortable undervolting settings for the i5-8265U, so let me know in the comments down below. VLC is there, WinArrow Tweaker for tweaking things, WinHawk for transparent thingamabobers here, and Microsoft Word, obviously. I did rework on my most scuffed resume on this laptop, and I'm gonna say that ThinkPad keyboards are great. It's nowhere as great as older ThinkPads out here, but it's pretty good. And what else I have installed is Lenovo Commercial Vantage, which is essentially Lenovo Vantage, but specifically for ThinkPads. And of course I do have WhatsApp because that's what my family member uses, and I did install it without using Microsoft Store, which is a plus thing to have, and I don't even need Microsoft Store and or signing into Microsoft account whatsoever just to get WhatsApp working on Windows 11. And yes, nothing spectacular here, and that's about it. Okay, checking out the Vantage here, you can tell that the warranty's expired since almost 2 years ago, and if I check view warranty options, it would direct me to the Lenovo support website. And interestingly, the first owner of the T490S was first purchased in Australia, which is interesting. Y'all's an Aussie ThinkPad, eh? Okay, that was a terrible Aussie accent, so don't mind me. If I check on the device and power, the battery seems to be in pretty good shape, so I don't really need to replace it. And now for the speaker for the T490S, it sounded okay. This is gonna be a really scuffed setup because I use my Xperia Nuggets microphone, so well, despite being a bottom-firing speaker, it's mainly focused for calls and conferences and not meant for the general listening. So, not great, but it's okay. Yeah, because Windows being Windows, it uses about 4 GB on idle even I have 16 GB of RAM on it. I may double with Linux on it someday, but yeah, time will tell. Anyway, that's gonna be a wrap up of this video of the ThinkPad T490S. And what I think of this ThinkPad? I really like this because it was built very well, thin, and light. But there are a couple of downsides on T490S, and that is the RAM is soldered, Wi-Fi card is soldered. All the S moniker of ThinkPad T series are all soldered RAM nowadays. I will use this ThinkPad for work, and I don't really have to bring my Legion on the right whenever I go to work or whatever. If I ever get employed, I will use this machine. And there are a couple of questions that people ask me, and that is, do you recommend this ThinkPad? And I have to say, I highly recommend ThinkPad T series and X series because they're built very well. If you're going with the L series, you're definitely expecting a little worse build quality. But E series on the other hand, it's built kind of like a consumer grade machine. But yeah, that could be the reason why T series, X series, and P series are highly regarded in the ThinkPad community. If you're looking for a cheap laptop for kids whenever they want to go to college, school, or whatever, go for a used business grade machine like this ThinkPad or HP EliteBooks or Dell Latitudes if they're built well. Anyways, I'm gonna end the video here, so I'm gonna go ahead and shut this machine down and wrap the video up. wrap the video up. Anyway, be sure to like this video, share it to your friends, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon for more ThinkPad videos just like this one. You can go ahead and support me on Ko-fi and Patreon at the links below. Donations are highly appreciated, so yeah, if you don't want to, then it's okay. So, I'll see you guys in the next video. The Tail Taku signing out. Peace out.